هودي مسيحيين تنك.
بدنا القانون، بدنا القانون، بدنا القانون.
بالاخر التنك بتكبيه.
الكويت عم تتعرض لحرب كثير كبيره باساسها الحرب بالشام بالضاحيه الجنوبيه عون وجماعته.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Future TV. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's top stories. Overnight clashes in Tripoli kill at least 6 people and injure many others. President Michel Sleiman holds talks with Prime Minister-designate Tamam Slam over the cabinet formation process. And the Syrian opposition coalition gathers in Istanbul to discuss whether to participate in the Geneva conference. At least 6 people have been killed in the northern city of Tripoli overnight following clashes between rival neighborhoods. The national news agency says the gun battles witnessed the use of 60 and 81mm caliber mortar shells for the first time. The bickering parties in the neighborhoods of Bab al-Tabani, whose residents are mostly Sunni, and the Alawite Jabal Mohsen used flares to locate the sources of the shelling. Other heavy weapons were also used. While the fighting subsided overnight, sniper fire continued to rattle the battlefronts, and bullets reached other areas in the city. The battles that engulfed the city for the 5th day kept schools and most companies and markets closed. Troops have been deployed across the city since the outbreak, but have so far failed to halt the fighting. President Michel Sleiman has held talks with Prime Minister-designate Tamam Slam at the presidential palace over the cabinet formation process. No statement was issued following the 30-minute meeting. Salam is seeking a government of 24 members with seats equally divided among the March 8 and March 14 camps and centrists, and a rotation of key ministerial portfolios. The Hezbollah-led March 8 coalition insists on veto power in the cabinet, or the blocking third, which Salam opposes. The president also met with Deputy Michel El-Mur to discuss the current political and security situations. Moreover, Defense Minister Faiz Ghusn briefed the president on the situation in Tripoli and the measures taken by the army to control tensions. The Friends of Syria group is concluding its meeting in Amman, Jordan. As leaders gathered from Middle Eastern and international countries, they discussed the option of sending more aid to rebels, the U.S.-Russian proposal to hold a peace conference next month, and Hezbollah's growing involvement in the conflict. More details in this report. The Friends of Syria group is hosting a meeting in Amman, Jordan, in order to discuss pressing issues on the Syrian civil war. The foreign ministers of Britain, Egypt, France, Germany, Italy, Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the UAE, and the United States are attending the Amman gathering. At the meeting, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said Western governments are ready to increase support to opponents of President Bashar al-Assad if he rejects a political solution to Syria's civil war.
In the event that we can't find that way forward, in the event that the Assad regime is unwilling to negotiate Geneva 1 in good faith, we will also talk about our continued support and growing support for the opposition in order to permit them to continue to be able to fight for the freedom of their country.
French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius, on the other hand, called for the military branch of Hezbollah to be considered a terrorist organization and condemned the organization's growing military involvement.
We support fully the national coalition of Syrian opposition, and we intend to support it fully by different ways.
According to a Nahar newspaper, over 75 Hezbollah soldiers have been killed in the conflict so far. Meanwhile, the opposition Syrian National Coalition is meeting in Istanbul to decide on its position over the upcoming Geneva peace talks and whether it will attend at all. One leading member of the coalition, Luay Safi, said the coalition's position is still that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad must quit as part of any deal.
All depends. We have a lot of unknowns about Geneva conference. We are for any conference that helps transition the situation into an elected government away from the dictatorship, but that would be our condition. We are not going to accept any negotiations that does not indicate that Assad is going to be out.
Meanwhile, in a security conference in Israel, Major General Amir Eshel said Israel is poised for a large-scale assault on Syria to prevent advanced weapons reaching jihadi rebels or Hezbollah guerrillas in Lebanon if President Bashar al-Assad is toppled.
If Syria collapses tomorrow, we might find ourselves inside this turmoil very quickly, and in a very large scope, because this huge arsenal that is located there, just waiting to be looted, can be turned to any direction, and you might find yourselves forced to act in a very wide scale and at a very short notice.
Eshel also said he assumed fighting could escalate to include attacks on Israel by Hezbollah and by Iran, which backs Assad as well as the Lebanese militia, and that the Air Force may have to employ its full might. Amnesty International says the global community has failed Syria and the EU must do more to take in the swelling numbers of Syrian refugees fleeing the country. Amnesty International Secretary General Salil Shetty voiced the comments in the organization's annual State of the World report during a news conference in London.
The international community has a serious responsibility here because we often have Western and richer governments going into conferences and pledging, but they never support in real terms. I mean, the support is never equal to the pledges they make. So we have both calls. The national government and national actors have to stop human rights abuses, but the international community cannot just watch and continue to have more conferences and meetings without any action. Unfortunately, the kinds of border controls that they have in place often put the lives of migrants and asylum seekers at risk. In terms of the burden sharing of refugees and refugee resettlement, Europe is appallingly low. So it's partly what they can do in terms of long-term refugee resettlement. But even where the refugees are in the neighboring countries, they can give a lot more support to those countries to provide for the refugees. Unfortunately, the European Union, which won the Nobel Peace Prize last year, has border control mechanisms in place which sometimes even puts the lives of migrants and asylum seekers at risk. Across the world, we have this problem of people being locked up routinely in detention centers.
Up next, we'll tell you all about Zumba, a fun way to lose weight and look all good for summer. Stay with us. As U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry begins another round of talks. Kerry has begun a round of separate talks with Israeli and Palestinian officials, but acknowledged the two sides will need to overcome skepticism and cynicism in order to resume peace negotiations. He is scheduled to meet Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas later in the day. In his visits to the region, Kerry is also trying to put together an economic package for the Palestinians to go alongside the U.S. political initiative. The U.S. diplomat flew into Israel from Amman, where he attended a meeting of the Friends of Syria group, made up of Western and regional countries lined up against President Bashar al-Assad in Syria's civil war. And now for news around the world in brief, a giant solar-powered airplane has taken off from Phoenix, Arizona, for the second leg of its historic cross-country journey. Solar Impulse, the solar plane that is the brainchild of Swiss pilots Bertrand Piccard and André Borchberg, is expected to make the flight from Phoenix to Dallas-Fort Worth in a little more than 17 hours. André Borchberg will attempt to set a distance world record in solar aviation during the second leg. The distance between Phoenix and Dallas-Fort Worth is more than 830 miles. An 80-year-old Japanese mountain climber who has had 4 heart surgeries has reached the top of Mount Everest, becoming the oldest person to conquer the world's highest mountain. Yuichiro Miura, who took the standard southeast ridge route, pioneered by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay 60 years ago, reached the top of the 8,848-meter mountain. He was accompanied by 3 other Japanese, including his son Gota, and 6 Nepalese Sherpas. A bomb planted in rickshaw has struck a vehicle used by security forces in southwest Pakistan, killing at least 13 people, 11 of them police personnel. Sources say the blast wounded several others. The bomb, containing about 100 kilograms of explosives, targeted a lorry carrying members of a government paramilitary force on the northern bypass road in Quetta, the capital of Balochistan province. The province is considered one of the most deprived parts of Pakistan, which suffers from Taliban violence, a separatist insurgency, and sectarian unrest. Anna Georgescu, summer specialist. Summer is right around the corner, and many of us want to be in shape again. Well, Zumba is a fun alternative to drop those extra pounds and look fit. The fitness dance craze is sweeping across Lebanon and has become a favorite group exercise class in health clubs throughout the world. Today we have the pleasure to welcome Romanian Zumba education specialist at Zumba Fitness, Ana Georgescu, in our studios. Ana conducts instructor trainings and teaches Zumba master classes across the globe. Welcome to Lebanon, Ana.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is ours. Why have you chosen Lebanon as a destination for Zumba?
Well, because Zumba Fitness is a global company and we are happy to be around the world. And because Lebanon, why not? Everybody loves to dance, right? So we love to dance, we love to be fit, we love to be healthy, happier. So it's the perfect place for Zumba as well.
Absolutely, especially knowing that we Lebanese love to party. Well, tell us, why should Lebanese people join Zumba classes?
Because not only that is the #1 fitness program around the world, but it is the perfect fusion between fitness, dance, culture, education. It's everything that you would love to join in a class. You can get fitter, healthier, happier without even noticing, because it's exercise in disguise. We're having so much fun while doing it, so it's the perfect place to be in.
Pretty good. And I've heard a lot about the Great Calorie Drive. Can you tell us a little more about this?
The Great Calorie Drive is one of our biggest pride right now, because we give back to the world something. First of all, we want to lose weight, we want to take care of our body, but in some other corners around the world there are people that are starving. And this is right now the biggest solvable problem around the world. And with Zumba Fitness, we can actually donate the calories that we're burning out during a Zumba Fitness class, so people can get food because, you know, they need it so much.
Pretty interesting, but if you don't mind me asking again, how do we actually donate these calories?
There's a Zumba Fitness application for those of you who are using smartphones. So it's free of charge. You just have to download it in your smartphone, and you check in a Zumba class, and that's how you donate around 750 calories, which is the average of calories that you can burn up into one Zumba Fitness class.
That's pretty interesting. And tell me, is Zumba mainly for men or women? Can both join?
Zumba is for everyone, no matter what age, gender. You can have anyone in the same Zumba Fitness class having fun equally regardless. So everybody is welcome.
That's pretty cool. Thank you for joining us, Ana. That was Zumba trainer Ana Georgescu, who's in Lebanon to host Zumba instructor trainings and the Zumba Fitness Masterclasses event on Saturday, May the 25th at Rebound Basketball Courts in Jdeida. Make sure you don't miss it.
Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. And now, on that note, we end our bulletin for today. And now, here's a recap of our headlines. Overnight clashes in Tripoli kill at least 6 people and injure many others. President Michel Sleiman holds talks with Prime Minister-designate Tamam Slam over the cabinet formation process. And finally, the Syrian opposition coalition gathers in Istanbul to discuss whether to participate in the Geneva conference. Those are today's headlines from the English news team at Future TV. We'll be back again tomorrow for more updates. Until then, have a great evening.
بدنا هالقانون، بدنا القانون، بدنا هالقانون.
بالاخر بتانك بتكبيك.
الكويت عم تتعرض لحرب كتير كبيرة بأساسها الحرب بالشام بالضاحية الجنوبية عون وجماعته.